microphone picking up? It sounds like it's starting to. So I'm grateful for our tech help. You know, one of the most challenging parts of this symposium is the technology and interpretation. And we have such a great team of experts who help us. We're really grateful for them and for the help they give us. I'm really looking forward to this session. Indonesia is very near and dear to my heart, and I love it so much. And I'm so grateful for the good group of delegates that we have here from Indonesia. I wanted to start by showing off one of our projects that we've worked on together. For the last 10 years, I've been working with Muhammadiyah University, as Abdul knows, in Malang, with very good scholars there, including Samsul Erefin and Chekli Pratiwi. Chekli is a young scholar at Muhammadiyah. She was actually here for a year, Abdul. She earned her LLM degree here at Brigham Young University and then went on to do her PhD in Thailand. And she's a wonderful young scholar. And when she came here to BYU as a student, she brought her husband and 3 children. And he took care of the children. She had one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary school. And they enrolled in the public schools here in Provo. And I'm happy to say her children all had a good experience in the Provo public schools. But I was especially proud of her husband, who came here with her and took care of the family while she was working on her LLM degree, her Master of Law degree here at BYU. And one of the projects we've worked on together is this book called Sharia and Human Rights, a course book. And this book has 14 chapters introducing human rights and introducing Sharia. I misspoke. 16 chapters. And each chapter is public. The reason the book is so fat is each chapter is published in both Bahasa Indonesia and in English. And this is a result of one of the results of the long partnership that we've had both with Gajah University in Jogja and with Muhammadiyah University in Malang. And we're equally grateful for our long-term partnerships with Nahdatul Ulama. Each of these organizations are so important to the future of the world, not just the future of Indonesia. These two Islamic organizations, each in their own way promoting a more moderate or modern version of Islam, is so important for the Islamic world. And one of our goals has been to amplify Indonesian voices within the Muslim world, because we believe that in the Middle East, for example, and also in the Gulf states, in India, in so many places, the world at large and the Muslim world in particular need these Indonesian voices amplified. And this year we've been working on a significant set of projects relating to human dignity, including a book project on Asian perspectives on human dignity, a book project on African perspectives on human dignity. And Brent, I'm happy to say that book will be published in December, so in time for the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And another is focusing on Islamic perspectives on human dignity. And Matthias and a few others were in Malaysia in July for a conference in that project. And we'll be partnering on another project in Jakarta in November. And we're also hoping to do a project in Doha in December with DICID, the Doha Interfaith organization. So Today, I'm really grateful that we have really important leaders, both from NU, Nahdatul Ulama, and Muhammadiyah. And I just want to share with everyone who's here my deep respect and love for the work that these important institutions are doing. We have two speakers, and so we've invited each of them to speak for up to 15 minutes, and that should leave us at least 15 minutes for Q&A. One of the things we always regret is that we have not left sufficient time for Q&A. So our hope is that with just two speakers in this session, we will have adequate time. And we're going to just go in the order that they're listed on the program. So Abdul, will begin with you. Abdul Muti is the...
Anggia will be first speaker.
Okay, we'll begin with Anggia. Anggia Erma Rini will be our first speaker. And she is a member of parliament and also previously the general chairperson of Fatayat NU, an organization for Muslim young women that has 10 million members throughout Indonesia and other countries. She's now a member of the House of Representatives of Indonesia and an important leader both in Indonesia in parliament, but also within NU. After Anggia speaks, we'll hear from Abdul Muti, who is the Secretary General of Muhammadiyah, the central board of the Muhammadiyah movement. He is a professor of Islamic education, and he is also the General Secretary of Muhammadiyah Indonesia, a Muslim modernist association established in 1912, so already more than 110 years old. He also is a representative on the Indonesian Conference of Religion and Peace, the general chairman of that organization, and the author of many books. And I just want to mention the title of some of these in English so you can get a feel for the direction of his scholarship. One of his books is called Authentic Tolerance. And isn't that beautiful, the idea that tolerance is not mere forbearance, but there is a deeper and more meaningful dimension to tolerance. He also has a book called Positive Pluralism, which is also a beautiful concept, the idea that pluralism is not just merely a matter of tolerating each other. It is a positive idea of learning to live together. And he also has a book called Christian Muhammadiyah, Managing Religious Diversity Within Muhammadiyah Education. So again, just a beautiful snippet that illustrates the direction of his trying to be inclusive of even Christians within the Muhammadiyah school system. So let's open the floor. Anggia, I'm going to try to pull up your presentation since you're up first, and we look forward to hearing from you. Please.
From there?
Yeah, why don't you speak from here since you have a PowerPoint, and we conveniently have it projected in every which way, so Anggia will have no doubt where she is.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a very honor for me to be here and sharing with you all, because this is the senior and then all of my teacher also here. I'm rather than nervous actually, because all of my teacher here actually. Okay, I'm Anggia from Nahdatul Ulama, and previously I'm the general chairperson. Just Brett already mentioned that Fatayat NU is Muslim organization which is 10 million members throughout Indonesia. We work focusing on women and children. We work with in the issue of health, the issue of economic, empower women, and then politics, advocacy, etc. And So regarding to the symposium about the what is it? Protecting the right to freedom of the thought, conscience, and religion. I will share why must the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion be protected. We know that all of yesterday and then today we already discussed about the Declaration of Human Rights mandate and also constitutional mandate. And I am sure that every country also have the mandate of constitution to protect the freedom of thought, conscience, religion, and accommodate the ideas, concept, and thought and attitude of every citizen, because you know that God give us the very perfect creature that we have to responsible to give the as a leader in the earth and ensure the functioning of the democratic process. This is the process that we have to pass. An objective of the Islamic law. This is the objective of Islamic law is to protect religion, to protect soul, to protect mind, offspring, and to protect property. Main component toward world peace, tolerance, and harmony. And then also I have to operate. This is the relevance of the human rights to 5 basic principles of Islamic law. Hifdun nafs, protect the soul, prevent everything that could threaten or eliminate someone's life or someone's soul. And then hifdun din, protect religion as a human guide towards an orderly, happy, balanced life physically and mentally. And then hifdun akal, protect mind to distinguish between right and wrong, beneficial and destructive, etc. Hifdun nafs, protect offspring to create harmonization of the social life starting from the household, environment, society, and world life. And then the last objective of the Islamic law is hifdun mal, protect property. Islamic prohibits criminal act as thief, robbery, etc. And sorry to take time. This is the key narrative in protecting the right to freedom of the thought, conscience, and religion. Every religion builds love of peace and mutual respect. The Catholic attitude is just the same, the Christian attitude of love to other people, the namely love. And then also, I'm sure that in Buddhism also, they have teaching about love. And then in Confucius, in every religion, this is the likewise other religion in the world whose origin are love and peace, of course. International, we in Indonesia. Pancasila is the basic of the state, especially in Principle 1 of belief in one Almighty God and religion. In Indonesia, as well as various religions, believe we have 6 religions who are officially, but the various religion and belief is able to live harmony and peace until now. And then in Islam, we have la ikraha fiddin. La ikraha fiddin. there is no compulsion in religion. There is no force in religion. And then humanity as the foundation in diversity of expression, conscience, and religion. In global, we know the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sets out 3 basic values: respect for human dignity, freedom, and equality. In Indonesia, Pancasila as a principle, as a basic of the state. In principle 2, we have just and civilized humanity. In Islam, we have wa ma arsalnaka ila rahmatan lil alamin. Allah did not send the Prophet Muhammad SAW except to be a mercy to the universe. So mercy to universe, not only to mercy to Muslim. And majority protect minority, minority respect to majority. One of the principles of the democracy is majority rule, minority rights. It means twin pillars holding up the very foundation of the democratic government. Among the basic human rights that any democratic government must protect are freedom of free speech and expression, freedom of religion and belief, due process, equal protection under the law, and freedom to organize, speak out, dissent, and participate fully in the public life of society. Democracies understand that protecting the right of the minority to uphold cultural identity, social practices, individual conscience, and religion activities is one of their primary tasks. In our country, we want that the majority to protect the minority, but also the minority must respect the majority. The majority and minority respect and appreciate each other. So the Indonesian concept is of maintaining harmony in diversity. In Islam, in the Al-Quran teaches the Prophet Muhammad SAW to treat the minority groups as part of the humanity that must be respected, as emphasized. And indeed, we have glorified to the children and grandchildren of Adam. This is Quran Al-Isra. Number 4, every inhabitant of the world has the same right and status. You know that the global, the article number 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, human right for all, likewise 29 other articles also firmly states to the equal rights and status of every inhabitant of the world. In Indonesia, the article of 27 paragraph 1 of our Constitution of Republic of Indonesia, all citizens have the same position under the law and government and are obligated to uphold the law and government without exception. In Islam, the right to equality and freedom, this is the Quran Al-Isra and An-Nisa, and then also the right to life, we have in Quran in Al-Ma'idah and also in Al-Isra, the right to self-protection, and etc. National law and international law guarantee everyone's right to express their opinion proportionally. In global, freedom of opinion and expression is protected by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, as well as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. In Indonesia, there are 2 laws as the basic of protecting and upholding human rights in Indonesia. And then in Islam, the Al-Quran of An-Nahl, and do not argue which cause you to become afraid and lose your strength. Islam really respects everyone's right to express opinion. 6, freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is the basic foundation of respect for others. In Indonesia, Article number 28A, paragraph 2 of the Constitution, everyone has the right to freedom to believe, express thoughts and attitude in accordance with their conscience. In Islam, there is no compulsion in accepting religion, just like I said before. And this is our experience, the International Young Muslim Women Forum. The ideas is that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim population maybe in the world, and the Muslim also, young Muslim or women Muslim in Indonesia is has a very good space to be everything. I mean, to be a politician, to be entrepreneur, to be teacher, professor, and a religious leader. So we can become everything. And that forum, and that International Young Muslim Women Forum, we just create how speech, how we spread out of value of Muslim in moderate Muslim in various ways, not only in the talk but also in the creative ways. So we conduct the International Young Muslim Forum that opened by President also, and we produced the Declaration of Jakarta that contains about, this is the 7 points of the Jakarta Declaration. First, Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin as an effort to support gender equality, human rights, and justice for all people. Second, Islam Nusantara. Islam Nusantara is Islam Wasatiyah. Pak Abdul Mukti, maybe the name is Islam Wasatiyah. It's the same. Islam moderate as a role model from Indonesia that can be applied in other countries in overcoming radicalism and religious extremism. From this spirit, the culture of the country is become foundation to build the religion. So not the religion forces in the culture. Women's leadership as the affirmation action in all areas of life. This is very important because the women is the part of very strategic issue and strategic action to be a change maker. Campaign against child marriage and discrimination against women. You know that child marriage still, even not only in Indonesia, but some of the country, child marriage is also discrimination against women is still seen very often happen. And then encourage governments in each country to ensure equality in health services between men and women. And women's economic empowerment. And 7, inviting world women to be more active on social media for peaceful, tolerant, and moderate Islam campaigns. You know, social media is nowadays, even actually I don't like very much social media, but we cannot avoid and we cannot deny that we have to on that kind of word. I think this is the prologue of my presentation. We can do our question and answer. Thank you.
There are two rules for being a law professor. The first is to never try to do math in front of your students. You're a law professor for a reason, and that is you can't do math. The second is to try not to embarrass yourself with the use of technology. And these rules are both easy to break and difficult to follow. Abdul Muti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brett. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. I prefer not to use PowerPoint because I have neither power nor point. So I'd better read through my pointers so that I can present in less than 15 minutes. Indonesia is the Pancasila state wherein the first principle is belief in God, or ketuhanan yang Maha Esa. In line with the Pancasila, Article 29 states that the state guarantees freedom of religion for all citizens to believe in religion and to practice their religion and faith accordingly. Although the state does not prohibit atheism and agnosticism as a private affiliation, spreading them is unlawful. To believe in or from religion is private individual right, but expression of religion in public matter is actually expression of religion is a public matter. In identity card by law, a person can either write down or not to write down their religion with all consequences. My second point, Indonesia is a secular religious state. It is neither separated from nor based on a religion. The Pancasila as the state foundation is, in quotation, secular. Principles of the Pancasila are crystallized from values of Indonesian cultures. Those values, however, do not contradictory with teaching of religion. In the state, religion have equal and supreme position in all aspects of human life, government, and governance. Government policies, laws, regulation, and public life, even private matters, could not contradictory with teaching and values of religion. Adultery and gambling, for example, are unlawful, though in many countries might be common and legal. The third point, Indonesia ratified both Declaration of Human Rights and International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. By law, the state does not only guarantees and protects religion, but it also facilitates adherents of religion to practice, develop, and teach their respective religion. In schools, both private and public state, according to Law Number 20/2003, students have right to have religion education according to their religions that is taught by religion teachers of the same religion. It is written in Article 12. Muslims receive religion education taught by Muslim religion education teacher. Christian students have Christian religion education taught by Christian religion education teachers. This system also applies to Catholics, Hindus, Buddhists, and Confucianists, and also for indigenous religions. According to Law Number 1/1974 on marriage, marriage is lawful in accordance with teaching of married couple. Medical treatment, guardian of children, and other public services are also delivered with respect to religion. Point number 4. Nevertheless, there are also problems in the practice of and freedom of religion. By law, people do not have their right. It's written in Regulation of Government atau Peraturan Pemerintah Number 55/2007 and Regulation of Minister of Religious Affairs Peraturan Menteri Agama number 16 2010, religion education is delivered to adherents of Sikh administered religions, namely Islam, Christian, Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist, and Confucian. According to regulation of Minister of Education and Culture number 27, 2016, adherents of indigenous religions have right to receive religion education in accordance with Law number 20, 2003. Following the implementation of regulation of Government number 55, 2007, and regulation of Minister of Religious Affairs number 16, 2010, adherents of religion other than Sikh administered religion, such as Judaism, Baha'i, and others, do not have religion education as written in Law number 20, 2003, and by law their existence is excluded. By law, their existence is included, but by regulation, they are excluded. Similar problem also experienced by adherents of Sikh administered religion whose number is less than 15. If students of certain religion are less than 15, religion education is not taught in school. It is taught by community of religions outside school. For pragmatic reason then, those students prefer to join religion education available in school. It means that they study religion education which is different from their religion. I need to briefly explain about this point because as it's written that religion education is given according to the religion of student and it is taught by teachers of the same religion. But it is limited only for Sikh administered religion. So for students who believe in a religion other than Sikh administered religion, then they do not have religion education. That means that by law they are included, but in practice they are excluded because they are not the adherent of Sikh administered religion. Point number 5, religious problem also happen in relation to implementation of Article 2, Law number 1, 1974 on marriage. Statement that marriage is lawful in accordance with religions of married couple show the state respect and assurance to practice of religion. But in practice, such article could become a source of problems. First, problems happen if bride and groom have different religions. Religions do have different teaching on interreligious marriage. In Islam, ulama have different opinion on interreligious marriage. Some ulama refer to the Quran, Surat Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 221, argue that Muslims are prohibited to marry non-Muslim, both polytheists and people of the book, or Ahlul Kitab. Other ulama argue that Muslim men can marry women from people of the book, but Muslim women is prohibited to marry both men from people of the book and polytheists. Their argument is based on the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 5. Article 40 and 44 of Compilation of Islamic Law, or Kompilasi Hukum Islam, state that Muslim men and women can marry only to the same Muslim. It is unlawful to marry non-Muslim men and women. Second, problems also relate to marriage administration. Muslim marriage is registered in Office of Minister of Religious Affairs or Kantor Urusan Agama under Minister of Religious Affairs. Non-Muslim marriage and interreligious marriage are registered in Office of Civil Administration or Kantor Catatan Sipil under Minister of Home Affairs. Though both marriages are legal, problems on the position of marriage remain. Is marriage part of religion affairs or civil affairs? Third, there are also problems resulted from interreligious marriage, such as right for guardian, inheritance, etc. There have been attempts to advocate interreligious marriage to judicial court, but such attempts, however, are unsuccessful. Point number 6. Another problem of religion is restriction to building religious facilities, such as mosques, churches, etc. Problems are caused by the implementation of joint regulation of Minister of Religious Affairs number 9, 2006, and Minister of Home Affairs number 8, 2006 on guidance for local government in building religious facilities. The main objective of the guidance are to maintain religious harmony and maximize the function of religious sites for strengthening spiritual life. It is written in Article 14 that the building of religious facilities or place of worship, such as mosques, churches, and so forth, has to fulfill requirement. It has to be supported by at least 90 members of a religion and agreed by at least 60 people from immediate neighborhood, approved by local government authorities. Instead of building religious harmony, the regulation have caused tension and violence between religion. Apart from the content of regulation itself, tension and violence are heightened by a dynamic of local leadership, election, and religious prejudice among religious followers. Christians quite frequently having difficulties to building churches in Muslim-majority neighborhood. Likewise, Muslim also difficult to build mosques in Christian or Hindu-majority neighborhood. Minority groups such as Ahmadiyya and Shia do not have only difficulties to build religious facilities, but also become targeted of physical and spiritual violence. Difficulties also faced by Muhammadiyah, moderate Islamic organization, in building mosques and practicing their belief. In Biren, Aceh, Muhammadiyah mosque was burned down by local conservative Muslim because of difference with the government calendar. Muhammadiyah members found difficulties to perform Idul Fitri and Idul Adha. Number 7, having Pancasila as the state foundation, Indonesia has freedom of religion. In general, Indonesia have harmonious religious relation and cooperation. To some extent, Indonesia might become a model for religious harmony in pluralistic society. In line with democratic atmosphere, there are good prospects of religious freedom in the archipelago. Even so, the country could not disregard challenges ahead. There are at least 3 challenges on religious freedom. First, legal challenges. As discussed above, there are regulations that restrict religious freedom and expression and cause religious violence. Second, the increase of extreme violent groups with excessive religious intolerance in the form of hate speeches, religious blasphemy, and other negative social behavior. Third, excess of liberal democracy with a very strong tendency of oligarchy, money politics, and political identity. Direct executive leadership election, national and local level, have fertilized cultural and religious primordialism that threaten religious harmony and unity of the nation. Adagium, the winner takes all, has caused discrimination and exclusion for minorities, which seems to be more observable. I see that I still have 1 minute, isn't it? My last point 8, in order to improve and strengthen religious freedom, amendment of certain laws and regulations, as discussed above, seems to be very urgent. At a cultural level, it is important to improve quality of religious education, intensify religious dialogue, explore religious cooperation in common public issues and public good, and set up open society. There is necessary to remedy procedural democracy to become more substantive and to advocate government to implement law supremacy that guarantees justice for all. I just want to give the example that we have done at the cultural level, especially in relation to religious education. Muhammadiyah with Laimena, which my senior Professor Alwi and also my brother Matthias also here with this program. Muhammadiyah, Laimena, and also Nahdatul Ulama have a program, namely cross-cultural religious literacy. The program that actually targeted religion teachers to become open-minded and to teach religion in a very exclusive method. And also, we also try to develop a model that also work with Laimena that we call pluralistic religious education. That means that when we're teaching religion, we also need to introduce the perspective of certain topic from many different religions. I think this is my contribution for this symposium, and hopefully we could have a fertile discussion and also give you an overview for future partnership and maybe future research in relation to religious freedom in Indonesia. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to our two presenters. I hope all of us realize what a remarkable thing we've just experienced. These are two really dynamic and forward-thinking religious leaders from Indonesia, and we're so grateful to have their perspectives and their voices here at this symposium. Anggia, thank you very much. Abdul, thank you very much. Also, due to their discipline, we have a few minutes for Q&A. Do we have someone with a microphone who's going to help us with the Q&A? If not, it looks like we do. Okay, good. So I was going to offer to repeat the questions. We need to get it through the microphone system for our interpreters who are up on the 5th floor working hard, but without being physically here to hear us.
I'm here as an interpreter if needed.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that as well. So why don't I begin by just inviting our other Indonesian delegates here, Matthias Ho, Alwi Shihab, and Sarudan Umar, to have an opportunity to make any comments or observations based upon the presentations here today. Would any of you like to make any sort of a comment or recommendation? If not, we'll open the floor to questions from everyone else from the audience as well. Okay, it looks like we're eager to hear from anyone who might have a question. So, any questions from the audience? If not, I'll. Okay, thank you.
We've heard from both of you about the difference between law and regulations, and if you could explain a little bit more why it seems that regulations have priority over laws.
Okay, very good lawyerly question. So the interaction between laws and regulations, how does that work in Indonesia?
Yeah. Thank you. In Indonesian structure of legal system, we have Pancasila, and underneath is the 1945 Constitution, and underneath is law, and underneath is regulation of the government and regulation of local government. So that is very structural legal system in Indonesia. So when I discuss about the issue in relation to religion education, for example, by law, it is actually stated that religion education given in accordance with the religion of the student, and it is taught by teachers of the same religion. But in the regulation, meaning that it has to be the implementation of the law, but then the restriction actually happen because religion education is limited only for the adherents of 6 administered religions. By saying administered, meaning that Indonesia has no official religion actually. But by saying administered, meaning that it has office in the Minister of Religious Affairs. and it has certain subsidy from the government for the development of this. While in fact in Indonesia there are adherents of Judaism, which is quite big number, and also the adherents of the Baha'i, the Sikh and others. While they are actually not part of these six so-called administrative religion, then they lost their right in relation to religion education. This is actually the problem that the law and the regulation, the law actually very inclusive because it's open for all, but when it comes to regulation, sometimes it might be related for a very technical thing in relation to the limitation of the budget. But of course, this is actually the challenge ahead. Then we need to be more open and to be more inclusive in order that we are consistent with the implementation of law in education. So this is a very complicated structure in Indonesia, but maybe my colleague Anggia could explain more because she is member of parliament.
Yeah, I will in bahasa. Jadi memang secara struktural tadi kan memang sudah dibicarakan bahwa memang sangat panjang dan dalam implementasinya memang susah sekali.
As it's already been,
Okay.
mau berbicara dulu?
Yeah.
Okay. As has already been discussed, there are lots of steps to this process, and it becomes very complicated to implement.
Dan di agama tadi sudah disebutkan oleh Pak Abdul, dan banyak sekali di Indonesia itu agamanya tidak hanya 6. Tadi yang disebutkan ada 2 lagi, dan agama lokal itu banyak. Agama lokal misalnya kayak Sunda, ya indigenous itu banyak banget, tidak hanya 1-2 tapi banyak.
As was spoken by my colleague Abdul, there are actually more than just 6 religions in Indonesia, but there are only 6 official recognized religions, as he discussed. There's actually religions that, are Sundanese, religions that are more local to indigenous peoples, and there's actually a lot.
Ya, secara praktis memang karena turunannya banyak, jadi tidak selalu ketemu antara yang sudah ditentukan dengan undang-undang dasar. Pancasila misalnya, kemudian ada undang-undang dasar, ada peraturan pemerintah, ada lokal tadi sudah disebutkan, jadi juga ada perda, perda itu peraturan daerah. Itu panjang sekali.
And there's a long list where you have your laws that cover the entire area of Indonesia, and you have laws that cover the different areas within Indonesia all the way down to the very local laws. And that's it.
So this is really an interesting perspective. For those of us who might not be so familiar with Indonesia, Pancasila is sort of this set of 5 overarching principles that are really beautiful, that are sort of very important to Indonesia, even in a way, as Abdul described, as being, supra-constitutional. And when Indonesia was founded, there was a large voice of people who wanted it to be an Islamic state. And instead, the founding fathers of Indonesia utilized Pancasila as a way of creating a framework for pluralism. And Abdul's been actually quite courageous in his discussion of some of the challenges that still exist. Usually we just get apologetics, but talking about the challenges for the non-Big Six religions, those that are not officially recognized, we've gotten a very clear description of some of the specific challenges that they face, and also issues arising from interfaith marriages and building religious facilities. These are really practical, specific issues that we've heard about in a very open and open-minded way that we really are very grateful. And these issues are challenging in many countries. And I think that the efforts that Indonesia is making to try to address them is really exemplary. But all of the problems are not solved yet. We won't be surprised because all of the problems we have are not solved here yet either. Dr. Kim, let's get you the microphone and let you ask a question.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Especially I want to ask to the Professor Abdul concerning about to the religious education textbook. Okay, so each religion has its own class for the nurturing for the student. Then you may use the textbook. So this textbook should be used nationally, every classroom. For example, in the case of the Islam, so locally and also the other places, they use the same textbook. Christianity also use the same textbook. So I'm just want to know about text accreditation process in your country, and also in that textbook, what is the percentage handling about other religious traditions? For example, Islam class, they are all talking about Islam, or they may talk also some spaces for other religious traditions. Okay, thank you.
Can I directly respond, right?
Go, yes, please,
Thank you,
Abdul.
Professor Kim. The first, the tag is actually used as at the national level because it is actually an official tag that is issued by Minister of Religious Affairs. Therefore, the tag for Islamic education is actually issued by Minister of Religious Affairs under the Directorate of Islamic Education, and the Christian and the Catholic and so forth is also the same. So it is used nationally because it is part of the national regulation. For the second, this is actually one thing that we are still struggling to do with what we call with the cross-cultural religious literacy. What is actually happening now is actually when someone teaching about Islam, then everything is actually from the Islamic perspective. And also when someone teaching Christianity is also based on the Christianity perspective. So one single perspective from respective religion. But we are trying to be more open in this regard by, for example, giving them the context or giving them experience by, for example, not only understanding the text itself, but to experience the context that is happening in the society. For example, in Muslim class, there might be a program that bring Muslim students to observe how Christians practice their religion. And also in Christianity, for example, in Catholic, for example, they have the program even to live in pesantren for certain months in order to observe directly how actually Muslim life. Therefore, by having this, what we call as a cross-cultural or maybe a direct observation to the adherent of other religion, that we could bring them richer perspective and also more open in seeing differences and more open to accept differences as part of our reality in Indonesian pluralistic society.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful. We're about out of time, but let me just make a concluding comment that the cross-cultural literacy education program that is being spearheaded through the Lemina Institute. Matthias, can you just raise your hand so we can see? Matthias is the executive director of the Lemina Institute, and this cross-cultural literacy program in the last 2 years has already reached 6,000 teachers who teach religion. And this is a really remarkable achievement because it is a genuine effort to create religious literacy so that Christians are given the opportunity to explain to what is mostly teachers from madrasas, so from Islamic schools, what Christianity believes, and where is Muslims and others are given the opportunity to explain what their religion really believes. And we're really trying to amplify this model because we think it could be very influential in other parts of the world where cross-cultural literacy, religious literacy is important. So I'd just like to thank Matthias and his leadership at the Lemina Institute and his work both with Nahdatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah in bringing this project to many places in Indonesia. I've just stood as an observer of this and have been really grateful and impressed for the work that they're doing there. So let me ask you to join me in thanking our panelists today. And let me just give you a little announcement about what will be happening now. So there are vans that are ready to take you back to the hotel, and we have about an hour and a half break. Well, actually not quite an hour and a half break. At 6 p.m. there is a reception with some hors d'oeuvres, and then at 6:30 is dinner. And it is being held tonight at the Provo Convention Center, which is right across the street from the hotel. So you can go back to the hotel, have a little rest, or at least leave some things in your room, and then just right across the street from the hotel is the Provo Convention Center, and the reception will begin at 6, and then dinner will begin at 6:30. And then tomorrow morning, breakfast at the hotel, transportation back to the law school around 8:30, and we'll begin our morning plenary session tomorrow at 9 a.m. So thank you all for the hard work all of us have put in through a day of listening hard to each other. And we'll see you at dinner this evening and back here at BYU Law School tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you very much.